In this episode, I'll be installing a Maxx fan for ventilation. As you can see, there is a bar in the center of this roof rack. I'll need to cut this out in order to mount the fan in the middle of the roof. My angle grinder is having a hard time cutting through the roof rack. I'll try a few other tools to see if I get a better result. First, I try my oscillating tool. Great for wood and plastic, but for hard metal, it's just dulling my blade. Next, I try a different blade on angle grinder. For some reason, still can't punch through the last of it. Next, I try a metal cutting blade with a sawzall. Finally, the cut is complete. Cutting the other side of the bar on the roof rack goes much smoother. So to install the Maxx fan, it comes with this flange. And you got to figure out where you want to mount it on the top and where you want to mount it from below. So I want it in between these ribs, these braces here. So I've traced out my template right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill up in the corners. Then I'm going to take my flange, put it up to the top, trace out the top here based on the 4 holes. Use this to punch larger holes and then get a jigsaw in there and complete the cut. So now I put the template up here and match it up with the holes that I drilled from below, and then I traced out the opening. Now that I have a line traced out for the flange, I can start making the cut. I'll use a metal cutting blade on my jigsaw for this. The good thing is, the flange has a wide lip, so the cut doesn't need to be perfect. Still, cutting a hole in the roof of your van doesn't seem right. Well, it still doesn't fit. Dang, it's actually not even close. So now it's time to cut the opening larger. It's good practice to be conservative with your cuts like this instead of cutting too much the first time. You can always cut more later, but if you cut too much the first time, he's gone forever. Part of my problem was that I traced my line to the flange on the inside of the flange, then I made the cut on the inside of that line. So now I need to take off about a blade's width or a little more from each side. The flange now fits in the opening. Success! The next thing I need to do is address the fact that the ribs running along the roof of the van make it so the flange doesn't sit quite flush on the roof. I'm going to use the angle grinder to make some cuts along the sides of these ribs and try to bend the tabs in line with the rest of the roof. Using a pair of sturdy pliers, I bend the tabs down and then use the pliers to try and make the roof and the tabs flush with each other. This doesn't need to be perfect either. This will all be covered with a wide flange and a lot of adhesive gasket material. Now I'll prep the surface with rubbing alcohol to get it ready for the next step.
Oops.
Anytime you are applying paint or adhesives, it's important to clean the surface thoroughly for best results. Since I've made these cuts exposing bare metal, I'm going to apply a few coats of paint to prevent rust. With the paint dry and the roof clean, it's time to attach the MaxxFan flange to the roof. This tape is called butyl tape, and it makes a great waterproof seal between the flange and the roof. Press the butyl tape down to ensure the best seal you can. I did the sides of the opening in individual strips and just overlap the tape a bit where they cross at the corners. Next, I'll use my Sikaflex 715 to lay a bead of caulk down around the outer edge of the butyl tape. This should create an extra layer of waterproofing protection around the fan. The flange gets screwed down to the roof every couple of inches. It's best to drill a pilot hole first. I'm using the sheet metal screws that came in the packaging for my MaxxFan. Adding these screws really brings the flange together with the butyl tape and now makes a tight seal. However, it's a good idea to tighten them all somewhat equally instead of fully tightening one side of the screws before moving on to the next. This prevents damage to the flange and helps create a more even seal. With the flange screwed down tight, I lay down another bead of Sikaflex 715 over the edge of the flange for a complete waterproof seal. Go thick. You want to make sure you can sleep at night when the rain is pouring down. Get the screw heads, get everything that looks like a potential spot for water to seep in. So here's the Sikaflex seal. Looks pretty solid to me. Now I'm ready to install the fan to the flange. A few final adjustments to the clips that accept the screws, and I'm ready to drop this thing in. The fan fits perfectly into the flange, and now it's just a matter of lining up the screw holes. It will be another few weeks before I get power in this van, so that's it for the MaxxFan installation.